my mic up and go.
All right. It's 12 o'clock. We've got 60 people about to come in. Here they come. Welcome, welcome, welcome in, everyone. Welcome to Tuesdays and Thursdays with Care Patrol. We appreciate you being here today. It's so hot outside. I hope you are comfortably inside under air conditioning with a glass of tea or some other way to cool yourself down. And I hope that life is otherwise treating you well, no matter how oppressive the heat is today. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you being here. As you know, we are doing ethics this month, and you probably see on your screen our guest, who I'll introduce shortly, Roger Allen, who's going to share with us the ethical treatment of the blind in healthcare settings, or just really in life settings. As you all know, we are accredited by the State Board of Nursing and by the State Board of Social Work for the state of Alabama. And as such, we have to have you do an evaluation in order to get credit for this hour. Now, nurses are receiving 1.2 hours and social workers 1.0. Social workers, I will be mailing a certificate or emailing a certificate to you by the end of the day or first thing in the morning. And nurses, you will receive that same certificate. However, nurses, I will be, as soon as I get my, I believe it's called tricorder from the Board of Nursing, as soon as I receive that, I will be uploading all of the nursing certificates dating back until February, when I started doing these presentations. And speaking of that, you know, our former colleague Jay Jones was doing these for us on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and he currently does these on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So rather than have to ask folks to choose between content and between persons, I thought I would instead give y'all more choice in general. So instead of having two options monthly to receive continuing education units, you'll have four. So we will be moving our sessions to Mondays and Fridays. And then Jay and his employer will be doing Tuesdays and Thursdays, as they have continued to do. So I appreciate y'all for being with us this month and all these previous months on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I look forward, I hope, to seeing you on Mondays and Fridays in the future. As you know, we have a survey evaluation, as I was beginning to tell you, that's due at the end of the day. And that link I'm going to read for y'all. I've just posted it in the chat room, so anyone that is witnessing the chat room can see it there. The address, for those of you who aren't able to see the chat room, is https://www.surveymonkey.com/lowercase r/ all uppercase, the number 2, D as in David, 6, T as in Tom, T as in Tom, Z as in Zoo, L as in Larry. That's today's evaluation link. It is, one more time, if you're able to make note of it, https://www.surveymonkey.com/lowercase r/ all uppercase letters, the number 2, D as in David, 6, T as in Tom, T as in Tom, Z as in Zoo, L is in Larry. That's today's Survey Monkey evaluation link. It is password protected. I will give the password out about 40 minutes into the presentation. So those of you who are just joining, I've just given our Survey Monkey evaluation tool. I will post it again here in the chat room for your use. It is password protected. Therefore, be listening for the password, which I will interject later in today's presentation. And now, as we're mostly in, and it's 12:05, I want to introduce our guest. Now, as you all know, in our evaluation, which is due at the end of the day, which is password protected, which is a SurveyMonkey address, in that evaluation, I always ask y'all, hey, are there things that y'all would like us to do? Are there topics that you'd like us to address that we haven't addressed or that you haven't seen someone else address? I'm not sure quite how I phrased that, but one of the answers that's been consistent throughout many of our courses has been that someone has expressed, or more than one person has expressed, an interest in understanding or hearing more about issues relating to the blind or the blind and deaf. And so recently, in a recent presentation, one of our respondents was from Talladega. I reached out. She connected me with someone who connected me with someone who connected me with Roger Allen. Roger is a 1984 graduate of the Alabama Institute for Deaf and Blind. And if I'm not mistaken, he was actually there from kindergarten through 12th grade. He has, gone on to live a pretty storied life as a radio DJ. He currently has, I believe, 2 shows running. One of which, if any of y'all are into Prime Country, you should check out. Now this is what we call Prime Country. This is not New Country or whatever it actually is. This is George Strait would be the most probably recent artist, and you might go back to Bob Wills and the Playboys, Texas. I think it's Texas Playboys. Roger will correct me. But anyway, that's the music style that he enjoys. But he, as it turns out, is not only willing, thank him, thank goodness, thank God, and thank Roger, willing to talk about his experience of being blind in our world during our life. He and I are the same age, I think. He's 50, I'm 55. He graduated in 84, so he's 55 or 56. And at the same point in our lives. And so he's lived his life as a blind man. And I just thought it would be interesting for us. Linda, are you the person who helped me find Roger? If so, thank you. And I'm sorry I didn't know you'd call you by name, but I want to thank you. It means the world to me that you helped and that you helped us find Roger. So Roger recently and his wife, thank you, Linda. Roger recently and his wife were hospitalized for COVID. And so it gives us, I think, an entree into our worlds, into your worlds, your social workers and nurses in clinics, around the state. And I think hearing his experience during COVID would be interesting. And we say this is an ethics, and I think it is worthy of an ethics designation, because how people are treated is ethics, and how people who are blind are treated is ethics. And learning how to better treat people who are blind when they have our needs, especially for clinicians, how to treat them better is ethics. And so I'm saying this qualifies in spades for an ethics presentation, although truly it is just discussion. And Roger, I've taken too much time. Let me turn over the floor.
Man, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Not sure how many friends know who I am. Not used to doing this. I'm a radio guy. I'm the guy that talks 30 seconds over an intro or out of a song or whatever. I'm the guy that can tell you why stuff sounds good. But as far as just talking about stuff like this is kind of brand new to me. So I'm kind of looking forward to this. He is right. My wife was hospitalized a couple of days. I was not hospitalized except to go to the emergency room and get an oxygen tank when I got COVID last August. I wore an oxygen tank for about a week and a half, something like that. And it was full time. And it was very, very scary. COVID was very, very scary for the fact of, your whole world is completely, I did not lose my taste or smell, but everything else was just really strange and really weird. But as sick as I was able to continue to do my morning radio show. I'm a part of morning show at WCKA in Jacksonville, Alabama, and I work out of my home studio. So I didn't have to see anybody, come in contact with anybody, anything. Just take the oxygen hose and just kind of move it over to the side so it didn't go over the microphone and people will hear the oxygen pee on the air, anything like that. But I was able, with the exception of a couple of days, to go on the air and to try to remain as much normal as possible. Did have some vocal issues that I had to kind of back off of and be careful the way that I said it, different things, and the amount of work I was able to get done when I needed to get done. I also do some internet stuff, and I'm what you call a contract voice. You may hear me in Los Angeles. You may hear me in Switzerland. Anybody who hires me to cut their commercials or be the voice for the radio station, etc. That's what I do. I work out of a studio just outside of Fort Payne, Alabama, that I do everything. So COVID kind of slowed all that process down, but we were survivors. We were able to survive because God had a purpose and God had a reason for me to be able to come in here and beat COVID. Now, one of the weird things with COVID for me was the simple fact that as a visually impaired person, I don't have a vision. So when you say dizzy, your form of dizzy is something I'm not used to. So, you know, when stuff is moving around for me, that is just really, really strange. I had a lot of that. Appetite was kind of weird. Everything was just strange, but my sense of taste and smell did not go away. I was able to make happen and function that way. And I, just took my meds. I did my exercises. My wife, she had COVID as well as a bacterial infection that she was dealing with as well. So we both just leaned on each other and strengthened each other and helped each other to get well. And for the things I was having problems with, she jumped up and helped out with, and the things that she was having problems with, I did the same thing. So we just kind of leaned on each other and made things happen. And one of the things that really bothered me with COVID is, you got to understand, I'm a media person. I'm constantly in the media, doing radio. I'm working on projects audio wise. I have clients I'm an audio engineer for. I mean, I'm constantly busy doing. COVID made me not want to hear anything. That's one of the downsides that a lot of people did not experience that I experienced. Was I was more happy listening to the sounds of nature outside than I was sitting listening to my radio station, reading a book, anything like that. I went for a couple of weeks watching television. Just did not happen. It bothered me. It was absolutely horrible. And a lot of people did not have that symptom, but that was my downside to having COVID. Was even when I was on the air, I had screens and everything up to where I can keep up with what's on the air and what we're doing and everything besides hearing it. I would sit with very little stuff as far as the music we're playing turned up because I could not stand to hear that noise. It was just absolutely like you were taking a hammer and hit me upside the head with it. So as I got better with COVID, I knew I was getting better because I was able to go back in and start doing the routines that I was used to doing, like reading, watching TV, listening to the radio, putting a CD on here in the studio, just little things like that. So that's what helped me to deal with COVID. We're going to talk about some other stuff today besides COVID. So, but I want to open the floor for you guys, because I know you're getting credits and you're doing this, that, and the other. And as I told Sean, my life is an open book. I have no secrets, no questions. There's nothing that you can't ask me that's going to offend me. So I want you to ask questions and let me try to help you feel more comfortable with the subjects that we're going to talk about today.
Well, I'll start. And I told you I would embarrass myself, Roger, but and I asked you once before a question before we got on the air, but now it occurs to me. So you said you have screens that you monitor and you watch television. So do you have some vision?
Oh no, I have none. No, I have
Okay,
none.
and so
But
then
and I have
figuratively,
Jaws.
watching television for you is different than me.
Yes, yeah. I have to pay
Okay.
attention to the content of what actually is being said and all the effects and all the makeup of what actually puts the TV show together. And my wife usually watches TV with me, so if somebody does something over here that she thinks that is not in the dialogue or anything, she tells me what's going on.
Okay.
And as far as screens, here in the studio, working and everything, I have a program called JAWS, JAWS. It is a screen reading program that is able to let me read, let me do whatever I need to, sit and maintain my computer, do spreadsheets, whatever. I type about 85 words a minute. I was a program director for about 16 plus years for some radio stations, and that was a budget cut. I tried to get office work to pay the bills, and I was overqualified for the office jobs that I applied for here. So, that's why we built a studio off the back of the house here, and I went to work for myself because I was going to go to work for Apple. They had a freeze. Microsoft was not doing any work from home type stuff at the time. So I just started doing contract work to be able to pay the bills.
And so when you got COVID, are you insured?
I have just regular medical insurance.
Okay, but you have health insurance, so that's not a barrier for you.
No.
Were there other barriers like just getting into the hospital or doing the paperwork? Is any of that different for you?
Well,
you may not know what you don't know.
Well, the thing that bothered me is, okay, I went to the hospital on September 1st at 5 a.m. in Fort Payne, and there was nobody in the building. So, we go in, they put me in the wheelchair. I'm dehydrated and I'm feeling like absolute garbage. Okay. And I'm sitting here and nobody's saying anything. Everybody's just playing their computer games and they're doing this, they're doing that, whatever. And the thing that bothered me was the lack of communication that said, hey, we're doing this, we're going to do this, we're going to do. I sat 4 hours plus before they came in and actually started giving me fluids or anything. And that's the thing that really bothered me was, when you're in a world that's unfamiliar to you and nobody's telling you what's going on in this world, and things are not happening the way that they're supposed to because of, that was a long 4+ hours of waiting for somebody to come in and administer, an IV so I could, start, filling some fluids and stuff. For instance, the next day after this was September 1st, I went to another medical deal that I had got a call from while we were in the hospital, and I had an infusion done. Nurses, you know what I'm talking about with infusions. And the second I walked into the building, this lady grabbed me and we went back and she gave me play-by-play instructions on what she was going to do. And the whole time that we were there, I knew everything that was going to happen from the time that she put the IV in till the time that I walked out the door, got back in the car and left. I felt like I was in an Alabama football game. I knew everything, man. And that's the way the medical, should be when you go to a hospital or in a situation of any kind of medical deal is when you see somebody that can't sit and read the signs, can't read the paperwork, can't read anything, that's where the little extra of, we're waiting for, so-and-so to do this or anything like that that's like a letter from home. That helps out so much. So that's one of the things I say was missing with my 6.5 hours at the hospital was a lack of telling me what the heck's going to happen here.
So what do you think was the difference in the lady on the second day and the hospital on the first day? Did the lady on the second day know something that the other people didn't know, or was she just generally, more service oriented?
I think she was just more service oriented. I think she just
Uh-huh.
I think she was just a very good communicator. And I think she felt the need to, because my wife left me there and, went and sat in the car because she was still going through her little bacterial deal that she was going through. C. diff. She had C. diff.
Oh God.
Yeah, she had C. diff and COVID together. Didn't know she had
Oh
COVID because
man.
she was so sick with C. diff that she didn't realize she had COVID. So, and wasn't even supposed to be driving, but it was either that or me die. So she took the extra incentive to make sure that I got the medical treatment I needed, and made sure, I mean, a real angel. She made sure of that. We got everything. So when she dropped me and the lady met me at the door and took me into the room, and I sat in the recliner, and she said, gave me all the instructions. So we're going to do this, and this stuff is going to go in. And she gave me play by play of everything that was going on. I mean, again, that's the way it should be.
Right.
And I know you nurses and medical people don't get the credit for all they do already. I mean, you guys are absolutely champs in my book for the fact that you are able to bounce back and make happen with all that you do already. Because I don't have the patience y'all do. If I was a doctor, I'd be broke because I don't have the patience y'all do to deal with everything that you put up with on a daily basis when it comes to medical care and helping people and everything. So I'm not trying to knock what you're doing and a lack of what was done for me. I'm telling you this so y'all can help the future people in situations down the road of. I deal with nurses. I have a brother that is in a nursing home in Crossville, Alabama. And I do a lot of stuff for the nursing home when they call me, and we go and entertain the residents and do everything like that. So I've really learned about just how great angels of mercy you guys are for all that you do. So my hat, if I was wearing one, would be off to you right now. And I compliment each and every one of you for jobs well done on everything. Again, questions.
Yes, we do. I think is it Luella
Yes,
Darshanan?
Luella Darshana, that's me.
Hi, Luella. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm so delighted to be here, and I thank you for agreeing to come. This is such a blessing. I understand what you mean when you say you went and was just sitting there for 4 hours. It was like you were just ignored
Yeah.
and not being treated. I wanted to say that I did go and learn sign language because I thought one while I was going deaf, but that wasn't the case. But I had one, I'm a retired social worker, but I had a client, a little young boy that he was vision impaired and was deaf. And I wanted so much to communicate with him. And believe it or not, back then I didn't know sign language, but we were able to communicate, I think, just because I truly wanted to, and he and I connected.
There you go.
Do you feel that dealing with a professor, the ones that want to help you, like you said in the last case, do you feel that that's what you had most of your life, that people were able to actually help who are professionals with you?
I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, I've been very blessed. Okay. I'll be
Okay.
57 years old in November, and I've been very blessed with great friends, great family, and just great people in my life that have given me the opportunity to not only be helped, but to help them. I think
Okay.
anytime that you do anything when it requires somebody helping you, I think you've got to give back. And I've been very
Great.
blessed to have, God's grace and knowledge to be able to help people back that's helped me. And I have, and I will say that the reason I am here and the reason I'm able to do is because of the fact that I think of all that's been given to me, I have always tried to give that back to somebody else. And I think you got to do that. I think if you want to communicate with somebody, regardless whether they're hearing impaired, visually impaired, or both, or maybe they have other forms of handicap. Communication is a two-way street. If one person is the only one wanting to communicate and the other person doesn't, it ain't gonna work. So if you've got two people wanting to make that communications thing happen, in order for both people to learn about each other and to be able to get to the next part of, then it takes two people. So, you know, the reason you were able to communicate with him is simply because he wanted you to.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for answering that question.
No problem. Any more questions?
Well, we don't have any yet, but I one of the things we talked about that I want to make sure we don't forget to talk about before we started was, I believe it was your wife mentioned that it would be important for you to discuss with folks that sleep disorders and how that impacts your life. And I asked, again, a stupid question.
There are no stupid questions.
But I think it's interesting if y'all think about this. So I got up, I get up every day at 5:15, whether I want to or not. And I look over and I open my eyes and I see that the sun is sort of coming up in the windows. And I know it's morning and I get up and I asked Roger, well, how do you know you're not still dreaming? How do you know you're awake if you don't open your eyes and see the world? Which of course is a stupid question. And he answered it, and he'll tell you about his issues with sight impairment and sleep disturbance.
All right. We have a deal called what has been diagnosed as non-24. Non-24 for people like me that have no vision. Our body clocks don't know what to do because our eyes don't see any light or dark. So we are just kind of living according to. So, you know, I know when it is daylight. I know when it's dark every day. I can tell you right now, it's 12:25 p.m. And, you know, I know what time I'm going to go to bed. I know what time I'm going to wake up, everything, but my body does not know that. So, some nights I sleep 2 hours. Some nights I sleep 8 hours. It just depends on what my body says. But what he's saying is you guys open your eyes and you look and you do. I have different sounds. I was telling him that are in the house here that are playing that I know is going to happen at a certain time, like an event, like, you know, different cars that come down the street, etc. I know that, you know, we have a water fountain that's outside our bedroom that I hear that makes me know that I'm awake. And just, you know, different little things that are part of my daily activity. I have an Amazon Echo that has an alarm set that wakes me up every morning at 5:25 should I oversleep, so I can be on the radio at 6 o'clock. You know, there's a little thing. I use my ears, and my ears are alert enough to make up for my eyes are not making up for. The downside is I sacrifice a lot of sleep because of the fact my body doesn't realize that it's still dark. You're supposed to wake up. It's 2 a.m. It's time to get up, even though I'm not supposed to get up till 5:30. So I have to depend on my wits and, you know, whatever I need to make up from what my body clock is messed up and knowing in a lot of cases. And the weather, seasons, anything like that is of the normal will get my body clock off track. For instance, it's sunny and hot today. We're in the mid 80s to low 90s, depending on where you are around the state. Well, my body's used to that. Tomorrow, if it's rainy and it's 74 degrees or 54 degrees or whatever the case may be, my body treats that as a totally different deal and acts different than, say, what it does today. So my body is constantly reconditioning itself to deal with whatever is put out there.
That's wild. We have a question.
Okay.
It's let me see. First of all, She thanks you for your insight and for being here today, as I do, and we all do. And she says, I'm very curious if you had ER, emergency room, experience pre-COVID, and if so, did you sense any change in what service was provided in the different periods? In other words, was the communication challenge the same in both scenarios?
Yes.
Pre-COVID and okay, yes.
Yes. I can go ahead and tell you, I have been in the hospital very few times in my life. Okay. Very few times. And I say, like, in 2002, I had my gallbladder taken out. No, 2001, 2002, I had hernia worked on, and I had an esophagus wrap. Acid reflux cost me 90% of my throat lining. I almost lost my voice completely and was almost unable to do radio work. I was almost silenced because of acid reflux. So, everything was just so kind of, but again, then I had the people that I could ask questions to. I had people, okay, what's going to happen here? What do we go from here? What are we going to do here? That option during COVID was not there.
Because
I guess they were doing whatever else it was they were doing instead of having as many people on staff to be able to be right there to where I could, ask somebody a question.
Right. Did the masking affect you at all? Your ability to hear?
I hate mask. Masking bothers my hearing because people that have no vision, we have a thing called hearing vision. Okay. It's called where we hear objects and where we hear our surroundings. That's how we're able to, move about our house or our office or whatever the case may be and know where we're going. You put a mask on, it masks part of my hearing vision. I can't stand a mask because of that. I mean, we've wore masks when we had to and everything because that's what you do. But the mask, it bothers my hearing vision because you're blocking part of the ear that I use to get around.
So it affected you in multiple ways, not only just basic communication, which was not forthcoming anyway, but your ability to move about the world around you.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's the other thing that bothered me when I was in the emergency room waiting and all this stuff was I had a mask on and I couldn't pull it off. So, you're sitting there and you're dehydrating and everything. You're having problems, breathing on top of that. I am a big fan. I think masks are great, but I was in a mask for 6.5 hours. That's too long. That's too long to breathe in God knows what from, the mask and everything like that. I think that, again, masks are great for what they are and they do what they do. But that was one of my downsides that I absolutely teetotally hated was having a mask blocking my ears and blocking my nose to breathe.
I think many people hate masks. You certainly have much greater reason to, I think, be, not have to wear one. So I have something to, you're a graduate of the Institute for the Deaf and Blind. Do you read Braille?
I do.
And so when you go to the emergency room or to a clinic or, any healthcare setting.
None of that was there.
There's no Braille ever.
No.
Okay.
I'm also I spent time at Jacksonville State University as well as I started out my college career at Gadsden State. So,
okay.
I've sat in a few classrooms in my time.
I have too. Well, you know what? I should have been in those classes. I didn't make it.
Well, maybe next time.
You were sitting in the class I skipped, I think.
Yeah, well, and but I would not trade anything for my education. Matter of fact, I'm taking some classes now with Deque University, DEQUE, to try to get some more knowledge. And, I think you've got to constantly educate yourself. I'm just afraid of falling behind on what's going on. So, I'm not a big fan of what I'm not a fan of watching the news or anything because news is corrupt. I am a fan of education and what is out there in textbooks. I do a lot of documentaries on television. I think a wasted day of not learning something it's a wasted day. So every day that I wake up, I want to learn something that day. So,
well, you're teaching today. So not only are you hopefully learning something, but you're teaching. So, I mean, each of these folks has the capacity to take what they learn from you and apply it in their daily lives. So the next time they have someone who is sight impaired, visually impaired, or totally blind as you are, they will have a better sense of what are the things they need to do. So if one, they need to communicate what they're doing. Two, if there's a mask, maybe they should say, hey, you know what, I'm vaccinated. If you're also vaccinated, I'm cool if you take off your mask.
yeah.
And what else would maybe be helpful? So say that you're in their shoes. What would you like for them to know if you walk in?
I ain't gonna hurt you. I just want to know what's going on and put yourself in my place. Put yourself in my place. What would you want me to know, or what would you want to know if I were treating you? So basically, I want people to understand how the role reversal thing works. What would you want to know if you were laying in that bed, or you were sitting there, or with whatever situation? Better communication skills. And I tell people, put yourself in my place. Use that tactic, and that'll be all that you need.
Well, and that's interesting, because today we've learned from you, for example, that masking is not only sort of inconvenient or uncomfortable as it is for all of us, but that for you, it's actually an impairment.
It is.
Also, to know that clinics and ERs and others are not offering Braille, but now to ask, correct? Because it's legal that they're supposed to have it.
They are. So you've got to ask for everything that's around you, and you've got to be able to know that it's there and understand and appreciate it.
Someone is saying in the chat room that there are masks that you can buy from Amazon for someone hearing impaired, I guess, to read lips. Are you familiar?
Didn't know there was such a thing.
I didn't either.
I think that's great. I think there should be more of those.
Right. I wonder, though, if there could be anything that would assist you, because, with your, what did you call it? Your hearing vision?
Hearing vision. Yeah. It's hearing vision.
Hearing vision.
It works the same. Yeah. I mean, it basically, my ears work as my eyes to get around and do what I need to do. If there's a door there, I hear that door.
And you hear it because you hear your pressure near it.
Yes.
And is this? I mean, I don't mean to be demeaning.
No,
I'm going to say something stupid, but this is how bats hear, right? Is this how bats do?
I don't know. I never talked to one, but I'm sure that's the way they do. Because again, you're hearing objects. Your body is acting as kind of a way for you to hear stuff that's around you, and it's like, I know people that I've dealt with a lot of people in my life that were going, losing their vision. The first thing I tell them when they start losing their vision is to walk around your house with the lights turned off and your eyes covered up, so you can develop your ear vision in order to get around your house when that day comes that you don't have the vision. Because people with vision, y'all depend on your eyes way too much and don't develop your other senses to match your eyes. If you develop your other senses to be as great as your eyes are, y'all would just be amazing people.
Isn't that interesting? So tell me, in addition to hearing vision, what are the other senses that you've developed that we have not?
Probably sense of touch.
Okay.
Sense of smell is very important. Just being alert. That's the other thing, is just trying to, I don't know if you call that a sense, but just being alert of your surroundings and everything that's going on. Just, paying attention.
I think that's referred to as mindfulness.
Okay.
And I think what that means is being very actively participating in your life in the present moment, consistently in the present, and not off somewhere in your head or in the past or dreaming, but
and staying off your cell phone.
I think there ought to be an age limit on cell phones, quite frankly. I just think children shouldn't have them. But anyway, that's a different day. So
Yeah.
you were saying for people to put themselves in your shoes. And so again, I want to ask.
Well, not necessarily my shoes, but in just other people's shoes in general would be a better way. You know, I think if people would take the time to understand each other better and could think about what the other person's thinking, that would work in all situations.
Well, and that's true. It isn't that interesting. We're talking today about the ethics of working with the sighted, and on Thursday we'll talk about the ethics of cultural diversity. But in the end, and we've said this at the beginning of the month, ethics is very simply how we treat one another. It's the code by which we treat one another, the set of values by which we treat one another. And so isn't it interesting to know that in dealing with the those who have sight issues, that they really don't want to be segmented out as anything other than the rest of us. Am I making sense?
You do. And I have a question for you.
Okay.
And everybody that's here. Is there anybody in this group of 50 plus people that actually knew who I was before we started this call today?
There's nothing in the chat room. I would believe they did not, because I did not.
Okay. Because again, man, I've been on radio 42 years and I have come in contact with people all over the place. But
now, there's very few of us that are from your neck of the woods.
Yeah, but I mean, I've done radio all over the state of Alabama. So
is that right?
Yeah. So, I mean, and I have a party DJ business that I DJ weddings and whatever other kind of deal that
Rick Beatty says, no, I've never heard of him, but I don't listen to country music. And that may be your hang up with our audience.
Well, I don't listen to hip hop either. So that makes we got something in common.
Well, I listen to it all. I've most recently been listening to Handel's Water Music. Are you familiar?
Terrific. I am not. Classical stuff.
It's quite nice.
Yeah, it's nice.
And then one lady, Jana, says, well, she's probably heard you and didn't even know it.
You probably did.
I'm going to give out, we've come to a little bit of an impasse, or not an impasse, but a slow point. I'm going to give y'all the password for today. So one more time, I'm going to, for everybody, put the link in the chat room, and the password is Talladega. And why is it Talladega, you may ask?
Why?
Because I want y'all to understand a few things. One, Linda Thompson from Talladega County's Health Department turned us on to this subject and topic. Two, I want you to understand that Roger went to the Alabama Institute for the Deaf and the Blind, which has been operating for at least 100 years in Talladega, and is an important place for people in our state who have sight issues and hearing issues. And three, I want you to understand that Talladega is for really something more than just racing. So Talladega is the password, and that's spelled Talladega. The only capital is T, Talladega. And there are Talladega natives here who are giving a shout out to y'all. Roger.
By the way, the school started in 1867.
1867, so 150 years, 155 years.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And who started the school? Was it Alexander Graham Bell?
No, he was off on vacation.
Okay.
I think the guy's name was Asbury. I would not swear to that. It's been too many years. I just pulled that out of my memory just now that we were always told it started in 1867. So, they had different buildings named for different people that were kind of the founders of the school. So, that's just.
And how did you come to be at the school?
back
Were
in
you
the
a
day,
local kid or did you move in
no,
from
no, no,
elsewhere?
no. I'm from Fort Payne. So they had recruiters back in the day that would, that would come around and, recruited, kids to go to the school. I actually went there in 1972 for the first grade and lived on campus, from that day till I graduated in 1984 and came home on weekends and holidays and stuff.
Wow.
I was in my 20s before I lived with my parents on a daily basis.
Wow. And so the kids you grew up with did the same? I mean, you were all commuters, so to
Yeah.
speak?
Yeah.
Huh. You must be really tight with that group of people.
I'm really not. When I graduated, everybody just kind of fell apart from each other. And, we just, like my graduating class was so small. We only had 6 people in my graduating class. And I have not talked to but maybe one of those 6 since I graduated. Everybody else just kind of fell away and decided not to, keep in communications. And that's fine. It's their loss. It ain't mine. I left the door open,
And now, as I recall, the fellow that turned me on to you
Joel
said
Gibson.
that his mother
Taught me
had
piano.
taught you piano. Is that right?
Yeah, I've got perfect pitch. And they found out real quick, real early that, I was one of those kids that, could play anything, do anything, etc. I had a music scholarship to Jacksonville State when I graduated high school, and I turned it down to stay in radio.
Huh. So I have no sense of tune. So what does perfect pitch mean?
That means if you sit down with a guitar and you hit a D chord or a C chord or anything, I can tell you what that chord is. I can hear that pitch and know what it is.
Okay.
I've tuned bands before in school just off of pitch and got them, and was checked against the tuning forks and stuff like that. I worked on an album that was nominated for a Grammy Award a few years ago and did a lot of working with the guys on the project and this, that, and the other. So I've used my ears all my life. I'm a sound engineer. I work for radio stations that contract me to come in and tell them why they sound bad or, why.
I got you.
Yeah, I hear a hum. Where's that hum coming from? Help me isolate this.
So that's just your hearing that's super sensitive.
That's what they tell me.
So Clara has a question for you.
Hey,
She
Clara.
says you referenced meeting with individuals that were newly blind or going blind. Can you talk about resources that you are aware of for these individuals within our state?
I don't know of any resources per se. The best advice I could tell you is Google. Google is absolutely amazing when it comes to that. Google is and Google is good. And the other resource that I would do is find somebody who has experienced, say, vision loss that doesn't, and pick their brain, ask them questions, talk to them, say, that's, you're not going to find a book or a Google search that can help you as much as finding a person that has walked the road and been through what this person is fixing to experience if they're losing their vision.
Yes, Roger, guess who just volunteered themselves as that person for the state of Alabama?
Who?
You.
I'll be glad to.
Would you mind giving your contact information out?
I'm on Facebook. No, I'm on Facebook.
Okay.
Or you can email me, DJ Roger Allen. That's DJ ROGERALLEN at live.com.
DJ Roger Allen. I'm typing this into the chat room.
I mean, can't you go any faster?
No, I don't type 85 words a minute. I'm not you. So this was what Linda asked me earlier to ask you to make, if you wouldn't mind giving your information out. So So you didn't actually volunteer for the state, but you kind of did, or at least for these 80
Actually,
folks.
I would love to. I would love to help people because again, everybody's got to help each other, and that's how we get to the next place in the road, is to be able to, help each other walk, down that road together. And I have no problem with somebody sending me a message on Facebook, or if you contact me by email. If you want me to contact you by phone, you can put your phone number and I'll call you back. No big deal. No problem. Anything I can do to help somebody to make everything easier for them to survive, I'm there.
Well, I feel like people have been there for you, and I appreciate you making yourself available. It's what's called paying it forward. The fellow that connected me with you, and Linda knows his name, I can't remember it even now, but
Joel
he
Gibson.
said his mother had taught you, Joel, his name was Joel, that had taught you piano, and that she was supposed to retire, but stayed on an extra year so you could graduate under her.
Yep,
So
sure did.
That's a pretty amazing story and tribute to you, I think.
Yeah, she graduated. She retired on the same day I graduated, and there was 4 or 5 teachers that did that just because of me. So evidently I did something right, and I was very into the music program. I played first chair trumpet from my 4th grade year to the day I graduated high school 8 years later in the high school band. I made 110 out of 110 on the band test, and they decided I needed to be in the band.
That's funny. Trumpet. Well, I love the trumpet. My cousin played the trumpet, and Water Music by Handel has trumpets in it.
Oh yeah, it does. Again, if you guys have questions, feel free to ask. I'll be glad to. I have no secrets. And thank y'all for having me here. Thank you for letting me come in here and sit inside the air conditioned studio and talk about stuff. I mean, there's probably something that I need to know that I mean, we're not going to know what we need to know unless we ask questions.
Well, I tell you what, Roger, we've satisfied the Alabama Board of Nursing and the Alabama Board of Social Work by having 50 minutes of content. And I have to tell you, I know you can't see the chat room, but there are multiple messages of thanks and how helpful this is, how interesting this is, how unique you are, just all of that. And so I just want to tell you that if there's anything you'd like to leave us with, before we go, we'll be moving on here shortly. But again, if there's anything that if someone's sitting in her office or his office and someone walks in who's sight impaired, I think you've made clear that communication is key. There's some sensory information that might be key that we have to make sure is not being inhibited, like, for example, by a mask with your hearing vision. We know that we need to offer Braille, that in fact it's the law to do so, even though we probably won't. So what else do we need to know?
If you don't offer Braille, there are a lot of resources now. I don't do as much Braille now as I do just internet stuff, with email, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. So even if you don't want to offer the Braille stuff, I would suggest, most people have email now. If you have a document, hey, I want to pass this information along to you for the future. What is your email address? That right there will be golden to, do that kind of stuff, because Braille paper is really expensive. A box of paper, I don't know how much print paper is, but a box of Braille paper is about $50 a box. So I know that Braille and stuff is very expensive and very time consuming, et cetera. Plus the Braille printers, you can hear 2 states away. They're so loud. So, if Braille paper, I mean, we're to the point now, technology wise, send a text message, send an email, There's other ways of getting that information to that person that will do just as good, if not more, than handing them a sheet of Braille paper.
So that's interesting. So someone comes in your clinic, your office, your ER, whatever, rather than saying, "Oh Lord, where's the Braille sheet?" Just say, "Hey, what's your cell number?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to send you a text about what's about to happen."
Mm-hmm.
That's great. It's
Yeah.
so simple. It's so easy.
Mm-hmm. It is. And most offices have situations set up to where they can do that. I mean, nurses, don't give out your personal cell number. Don't ever do that, because you might, there's kind of all kinds of weird people out there. But if you work for a doctor's office, and same with you social workers that work for different agencies around the state of Alabama, get your bosses to go out here and get you a Google number. Google numbers don't cost you anything. They're free. Or, Yahoo, different numbers. Get you a free number that you can use as a generic number to text or contact patients or anything like that without giving out your own personal information.
And so are you able to read a text?
I am.
How?
I have an iPhone, and all Apple products have built-in voiceover on them.
Oh, right. So it reads it for you.
It does. And I
Okay.
have a Braille display that I have two. Well, no, I gave one of them away, but I have a new Braille display that goes with my iPhone that I can take and read off my iPhone onto that Braille display if I need to, and read it in Braille.
Wow. Well, dang, that's worth the whole hour right there, Roger. Wish we'd led with that. Thank you for your whole hour of experience with us. And again, I guess I'll ask last time, is there anything you'd like to leave us with? And just know that we are so appreciative.
Again, I just want to thank each and every one of you, because I know you got busy schedules. I know you've got a lot of stuff going on right now. And I know the stress levels are probably still pretty high from just the normal work day. Thank you so much for letting me take an hour out of your schedule to be with you. Thank you so much for letting me eat lunch with you, or whatever it is that you do between 12 and 1 every day. And next time you can buy lunch. And again, thank you for just letting me be here, because I thoroughly enjoyed it. And as I told you, Sean, going into this, I'll come back again if you ask.
I'd be happy to have you back. Let's think of a topic. Well, in fact, we thought of one before we got started, and what would be interesting would be if you could get some. I know you don't speak to your graduating class, but if you knew other folks from the school who were sight impaired or hearing impaired, maybe to have a sort of forum
Round table
with y'all.
Yeah,
round table. If you could get them into your. Well, they'll help. I mean, they wouldn't have to be in your living room, but they could be.
No, with Zoom, everything going on, you can, I've got friends that were as part of the public school system that are visually impaired that we could bring into the mix and, talk about stuff. Again, anything I can do to help you, that's why I'm here.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm going to end this, Roger. I appreciate your time. I appreciate all the people that listened. Remember the Survey Monkey evaluation sheet. The password is Talladega. Thank y'all for being here today. Thank you for what you do. Thank you, Roger, for spending your time with us and sharing with us your experience. And we'll see every one of you, I hope, again on Thursday when we discuss cultural diversity. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day.